Assalamualaikum. This is lecture 11 of web design and development, and in this lecture I'm going to discuss about client-side scripting, and the main focus of the lecture will be on JavaScript. So let's look at the lecture contents. In this lecture we are mainly focused on JavaScript with the emphasis of language basics such as variables, uh, different arithmetic and logical operators, how you can input into the web pages using JavaScript, and how you can output in your web pages. And this lecture will also show you how to use functions, conditions, and loops. I will briefly discuss about the different kind of dialog boxes available in the JavaScript, and we will continue our discussion with the HTML document object model, which is a model to access HTML elements in the browser. JavaScript is a client-side scripting language, and it is used for interactivity with HTML pages. It is also used in web to improve the design, and you can also use it for validation of forms input, and you can use it to create cookies and many more other operations. So JavaScript is a free license code, and it is the most popular scripting language on the internet, and it works with all the major browsers such as Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Netscape, Opera, and Safari, and of course the Google Chrome. So there are two common ways to embed JavaScript into your HTML files. One is referred as internal scripts, and the other is referred as external scripts. So in internal scripts, JavaScript is directly written in the HTML code. It can be written in the header file, header section, or it can be written in anywhere else in the page. The other way states that the JavaScript code must be written in a separate file, and a script tag is used to tell the browser that a script is followed. So here is an example of using internal scripts. The script tag is used again to embed the JavaScript code into the HTML documents. So JavaScript can be placed anywhere between the HTML closing ending tags, starting and ending tags. There are two main possibilities, that you can paste it in the header tag or you can paste it in the body tag. However, there is no limitation that where you want to put the JavaScript, as long as it is inside the opening and closing HTML tags. So here is an example of using multiple scripts. First script is placed at the start after the title tag, and the script has started with the element of script, and it has attribute called language that is equal to JavaScript, and you can write the number of JavaScript statements here. Similarly, there is another tag for script and another set of JavaScript languages statements can be written here. On the other hand, you are also free to use the JavaScript anywhere in the page, such as this example shows that you can use a JavaScript tag in a body element, and it can contain a number of JavaScript statements. On the other hand, JavaScript can also be used as external scripts or external files. The source attribute of the script tag is used to include the external JavaScript file in the HTML. So here is a typical example of adding a myscript.js file into your HTML code. So it is an external script, and the JavaScript files are often abbreviated uh, with the extension of .js. So programs that execute on the client side by the browser instead of a server side. So JavaScript files are executed on the client side. Upon request, the necessary files are sent to the user's computer by a web browser, by a web server on which they reside. So it allows for the interactivity by immediately responding to the user action, that you do not have to create a request to the server, and you can easily respond to user action on the client side. So it executes very quickly because it does not require a trip to the server. So here are some common conventions that you will use in the JavaScript, and these are very much similar to other languages. For example, every line of code in the JavaScript ends with the semicolon. So make sure to use the semicolon at the end of each statement. For example, this statement document.write, and it has some text hello, is used to convey this example. It writes hello in the HTML file, and it displays to the start of the page. Another convention is that JavaScript is a case-sensitive language. That means uh, the small letters are different from the capital letters, and their meaning is different in the language. You can also add comments using the double slashes, and the multi-line comments using the slash static, and end with the static slash. You can also use the quotes, and you can display the quotes. Any text will be displayed as static text while it is used in the code. On the other hand, if you use HTML text or HTML elements in the codes, it will be rendered as HTML elements. For example, if this document.write statement is processed, only hello world is printed with the font color of red. So variables and operators are similar in JavaScript like any other language. Uh, However, there is a small difference that there are common four types of data in JavaScript: numbers, string, booleans, and null values. One important consideration here is that JavaScript is a loosely typed language. That is, you do not have to worry about the data type while declaring a variable. This can be achieved using the word var as a data type of variable to declare a variable. For example, you can use the var to assign a string. You can use the same var to assign a number or a boolean or another value such as array or any other object. So naming conventions are similar, that first character cannot be a digit, and you can use the first character as a alphabet or underscore for specifying the name of variables. Apart from the first character, other characters may be digits, letters, or underscore. Similarly, the operators are same in the language like any other language. For example, the assignment operator equal to is used to assign the values. There are some arithmetic operators such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder, modulus, uh, increment, and decrement operators. Similarly, while comparing or performing logical operations, there are and, or, and not operator, which are very similar to many other languages. And there are some comparison operators. There is slight difference in JavaScript, that this operator compares two values, double equal to, while triple equal to compares the values and the type of both variables. For example, if you use the first two letters and compare 11 in the string with the 11 in the number, this operator will return true. However, if you use triple operator, this operator will return false. So this will only return true when the type of the variable also matches. Similarly, you can use the not equal to and not double equal to for the same but opposite purposes. The rest operators are same, just like less than, greater than, less than equal to, and greater than equal to. Functions are defined using the keyword function followed by the function name. So it is very simple to define function in JavaScript. You will write a name of function, and if there are any parameters, you will provide those, and then with the curly braces, you can write the statement of the function. To call a function name, you just write the function name, and if you want to provide any parameters, you can pass it using the arguments. For example, write is used to write on the browser, and you call the document.write method and provide the string hello world as an argument. Here is an example of other method called prompt is used to take the input from the user. So you have to specify a variable that you want to store some number, and you want to call prompt method, and you write a statement, please enter a number, and you provide a default parameter that if user does not enter a number, the 0 will be default value for the number. Here is an example you can try in your HTML file. You have to write a script language JavaScript and a function get name, and there is a variable to get the name of the user, and then you can write the document.write function by welcoming the name, and you call this function on the body on load method. So whenever the page will be loaded, this method will be called, and you will be prompted with a text box that will ask you for your name, and it will display a welcome message for the enter name. Conditions and loops are very much similar to any other language. For example, if you use the if statement, you can write it by if keyword, and then there is a condition, and then statements will be in the parentheses. Similarly, if else is the same mechanism: if condition statement, else statements. For loop has the same structure. For there is a variable I is equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, and there will be a sequence of statement. Similarly, while and do while loop also perform like any other language. One important aspect of JavaScript, and it is quite widely used, is JavaScript Dialogs. JavaScript provides the ability to pick up the user input or display small amount of text to the user by using the dialog box. There are common three types of dialog box, such as alert box, which only displays a small message, and the message will be pop up to the top of the screen. There is a prompt message take input, and there is a confirm dialog box to specify yes or no action. So alert box simply a small message box that pops up when the user provides some information to provide user some information. It is used to give a warning message to the user. When alert box pops up, the user will have to click OK to proceed. Simple syntax: alert and a message. A prompt box is often used if you want the user to input a value before entering a page. User will have to click either OK or cancel to proceed after entering the input value. Similarly, a confirm box is often used if you want the user to verify or accept something, and in this way the user will have to click or cancel. So the syntax is very similar for alert message. Similarly, you will use the prompt, and then you will provide a message and a default value, and for the confirm you will use the confirm and a message. So here are examples. For example, in the first uh, code snippet, there is a function called alert me, and there is a message, and one statement is written that displays the alert and the message provided by the method. So you provide the method a message called welcome to my page, and you can call this method by any button click or on the body load. Other message is prompt me, and you specify using the please enter your name, and you have the default value as name, and then you can write the document dot write method to welcome the user. This example shows the confirm box, and you have a method name con name, and you provide a prompt mark to enter to ask the user to enter name, and you check the condition that if user has written on the page, then you can write welcome to the user, otherwise welcome to anonymous user. Window object is the main entry point of your web application on the client side, and JavaScript uses the API to extract the window to actually interact with the web application. So it represents a web browser window or a frame, and it refers to an identifier window. So it is a global object and it can be omitted. So it defines the properties like location. For example, Windows Store location specifies the URL currently displayed, and it navigates the website to the another location. It uses the alert to display alert messages and timeout to specify a register a function to be invoked after a specific amount of time. The most important element of window is the document, as you have seen document.write method in the previous example, and it represents the content displayed in the window, which is of the main concern to be handled in the JavaScript. And the main content is handled by document object model named as DOM. Once the HTML elements are rendered in the browser window, browser cannot actually recognize them. JavaScript enabled browsers to do this using the document object model. The HTML DOM is a standard object model and programming interface for HTML. All HTML elements along with their properties, methods, and events can be accessed through DOM. So the HTML DOM is a standard for how to get, change, add, delete HTML elements. So here is a typical overview that how a window object is linked with the rest of the pages. So at the top of the DOM we have a window global object, and as we stated in the previous slide that this object is not very much needed. We are left with the four subtypes that are commonly used to access the HTML elements and the browser or page elements. And upon these, we will discuss each of these briefly, but most important of all is document element. It contains a list of forms or array of forms, images, links, and anchors, and so many other elements. The forms can contain other array of elements of the form such as text boxes, buttons, select, list, reset files, etc. and list of options. The HTML DOM can be thought of as a hierarchy of moving through the most general object of the most specific type. So if you move to the document, you have the first element HTML, and then you have two child elements, head and body, and then you can move through the head tag to get the title, etc. and then you can move through the body tag to get the headings and other list elements, etc. So if you want to read more about the language, you can study the chapter 11 of recommended book, or you can search the internet about the language basics of JavaScript. About discussed topics, you can ask me through any designated channel, or you can conduct a question and answer session. Thank you very much.